This has been really interesting. The book starts off with our narrator telling you what happens. That was the stupidest fucking thing I've ever said in my life. Hey guys, how's it going? A little bit of a new kind of video today, new for me, because I've only been doing reading wrap-ups. Welcome to my first reading vlog. Yay! July has been kind of an interesting reading month in the sense that I haven't read much at all. I think what happened was I did the thing that I usually always do around this time of year, which is read a whole lot of books in the beginning of a month and then completely burn out, don't read anything for the rest of that month or the beginning of the next month, and then I'll catch back up. So to get myself out of that, I realized that I just need to read. That's all. I feel like I need to stop overcomplicating a reading slump and just like be normal about it. Is this making sense? Probably not. In my head, I'm overcomplicating the idea of a reading slump as something that is going to be so difficult to break out of, and I try to do all these different things to not make it worse because I feel like that's what everybody also does on the internet. So I'm just gonna stop doing that and just read. So unfortunately, I didn't read a book until like July 15th or something crazy like that. Kind of tragic and weird. I don't like it, but there's nothing I can do about that now because the time has passed and I just need to move on. And it's actually not that big of a deal at all when I realize in the grand scheme of things how many books I actually get to read. So not complaining in the slightest, because a lot of people don't even get to read all that much in a year, but because I'm an English major, that already boosts me to my reading goal so easily. Anyway, I didn't start this vlog when I had started reading for the month. I'm reading my third book of the month now, which is Benbecula, and it is a Scottish horror. I got it in Edinburgh, and it is also, where is it? It's signed. It's signed by the author. How cool is that? It was like the bookstore in Edinburgh that's like super popular, but they had so many copies of like all different signed books. Some were more expensive, like there's a signed copy yesteryear and like tons of other books. So I got this one because it was a Scottish author and I have been getting into murder mysteries and thrillers and horror this year. Not too much of those. I've only read a few, but it's an ongoing journey that I'm excited to partake in. This has been really interesting. The book starts off with our narrator telling you what happens. That was the stupidest fucking thing I've ever said in my life. The book starts off with our narrator telling us how the story ends. In my head, I'm like, okay, but there has to be more, because he starts it off by saying, my brother killed my entire family. And so it's like flashbacks to everything leading up to the murder and then his life as he lives it now in his like remote part of Scotland in his little village. I am really enjoying it. I am. I'm actually not that far in at all. And of course, I didn't use a bookmark the last time I read it, so I don't remember. I'm almost 50 pages in out of 168. It could very well be more than what I had anticipated it to be. I'm really hoping that it turns into something grotesque and strange and sort of like an unreliable narrator kind of thing. As of right now, he's just sort of explaining the kind of person that his brother was through all of these moments that they experienced together growing up with his siblings. I just feel like there has to be more, you know what I mean? But we'll see, because I have yet to be scared. But again, I'm only 50 pages in, so that's kind of how that's going. Also, it takes place in the 1850s, I believe, which is also super interesting. It's bringing up a lot of the culture around then. Obviously, they live in this small remote village, and it is mostly used for some kind of sea mining. It's a very industrial town where our narrator and his whole family lives at the one place there is to work there. And you know, everybody knows everybody, everyone knows each other's business. This entire town knows what a menace the brother has been. His name is Angus. They I had tried to get him to go to a psych ward in Inverness, I believe. I'm sorry. I guess it is kind of important to mention the town is on like a remote-ish island off the coast of Scotland, obviously. So I really like that kind of vibe. Very excited to see where this goes. Also, if you notice the lighting keeps changing, it's because the heat lamp for my snake turns on and off a lot, just like when it gets too hot in there. And then this is what I'm currently reading, and I'm very excited. I have my gargantuan cup of tea, Earl Grey, obviously. I finished my Spanish homework. Oh, that's another thing. I guess I'll give a little life update while I'm here. That's the whole point of a vlog. I'm currently taking Spanish 2. I took Spanish 1 at my community college like 2 summers ago, and it was all online, and obviously I didn't learn Spanish. That's not the point of those courses. I don't think anybody walks out of Spanish 1 or 2 knowing how to speak Spanish. It's just one of those things where I need it to graduate. It's a graduation requirement, and so I can't get out of it. And also, while I would love to know Spanish and learn Spanish, that's not where I'm at mentally. And it's also not a very welcoming environment. Honestly, when everybody talks about how Berkeley is such a difficult school, it's so rigorous, everybody is comparing themselves to each other, I wasn't really feeling that. Maybe I was like second semester. I just transferred in August, so I will be going into my senior year. I started to notice that this past spring semester, but I was like, it's not that bad. Overall, I feel very welcomed, and I feel like I'm capable enough to handle it. I'm also majoring in English, so that's obviously going to be extremely different than somebody who is majoring in something extremely different to English. But now that I'm taking the Spanish course, Berkeley's intense. Berkeley's intense, guys. I knew it would be a lot. I knew I already have difficulty with Spanish as it is. I just like, it's so intense. And the PhD student who's instructing the course is also so intense through no fault of her own. It's just the way that the course is set up. Berkeley has extremely rigorous standards for our language courses. Like, if I were to do this during the 16-week semester, it would be for an hour, maybe even 2 hours, Monday through Friday. And so either I do that for 16 weeks, or I can do my 2-hour Zoom class from 10 to 12, Monday through Friday. So I'm not gonna know Spanish by the end of this, and it probably will just succeed in raising my blood pressure. That's just how it is. I can do hard things. I can do anything for 2 months. It'll be fine. It's just kind of sad that this is my last summer in undergrad before I graduate, and I'm spending it working and doing Spanish. I did travel. I did go to Ireland before any of this started. Thank God. I went in May. It's just like, I want to go to the beach, but I can't even go to the beach because I live in Berkeley and you can't really swim in the water here. It's fine. I love it here. I love Berkeley, and I love my new apartment, and I love my life here. And you know what? Just because I spent minutes complaining, I'm going to say 5 is a lot right now. I'm gonna say 3 things I'm grateful for. I am grateful for Earl Grey tea. I am grateful that I have the ability to read in my beautiful apartment that I pay too much money for. My beautiful, wonderful boyfriend got me this Casio watch today. Hold on, I'll give you a close-up. Can you see it? It's a Casio, and I love it. Thank you, Anthony. Love you. That's my nights. I'm going to try and get through a large chunk of this book. Also, because I've had people staying with me for the past like 3 weeks. Okay, like 2 weeks. I've been busy all month. I've been going back home to LA, and then it was me and Anthony's anniversary, and then my family was coming to stay. And then the day after my family left, my 2 friends came to stay, and then my other friend came to stay the day that they left. So the last person staying with me, she'll be watching this. They'll all be watching this. You guys will know who you are. Love you. They've been staying with me, and so this is the first night in like so long that I have been alone in my apartment. So I'm gonna spend the night reading, drinking my tea, and then hopefully that'll be it. And hopefully I will get through a large portion of this book. I will see you guys either when I finish this book or start another book or have an update about how I'm liking it. Hey guys, I just recorded like 5 minutes of content in my kitchen while I was taking my banana bread out of the oven, and I spoke at length about my updates from yesterday and today, and then I watched the footage back, and because I don't really have a good microphone right now, like I'm literally using my AirPods, you could hear every sound my dishwasher was making. So it was a really loud gurgling sound, and then it started draining, and then it sounded like somebody was peeing directly behind the phone. So I'm gonna do this all over again, and hopefully I will remember everything that I wanted to talk about. Last night, after I ended that clip, I read maybe 20 more pages of Benbecula, which sounds like a pretty substantial amount, like fair, but the text on the page is actually quite small, so it really was not that much at all because I got stuck doom scrolling and then I called my mom for an hour and a half. But that's fine. I did like where it's going, and I really like the style of the writing. It feels very classic. It's not super atmospheric like I was hoping it would be, but I like the comparisons and the metaphors that he uses and all of the literary devices that are going on there. But I'm still having this feeling where I'm like, where could this be going? Like, what's the twist? Because it all seems very normal right now, but it's a horror. And obviously I know that I haven't gotten that far in, but I'm like 65 pages in, and so far it's just kind of flashbacks to Angus before the murders, his brother Angus before he murdered his whole family, and how he was being destructive towards the entire town, to how our narrator is currently living. And what I think is really interesting is all of the qualities that make up a small town like this that he criticizes are all the qualities that they exhibit when they are helping our narrator, because he is still living in the house that his family is murdered in, which, strange. He's a little strange. He just has a little bit of arrested development, I think. But there's somebody who comes and makes sure he's gotten a bath, make sure that he has somebody to talk to, things like that. And I think, yeah, I'm still kind of waiting to see how this is gonna play out. And in my head, I'm like, okay, what if the twist is like he killed his family, he's Angus, but like, that actually doesn't make any sense at all, and I don't think it's gonna be that, because I also think that's a really simple twist. So we'll see. But I did start a new book today. I started a new book while I was at work. An audiobook. I'm listening to it, so like counts, but like, you know, I'm not physically reading it. And that is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And I have never read anything by her before. I don't really read rom-coms as is. I am liking it. I'm liking the story, and I am generally liking their characters. And please tell me if this is something Abby Jimenez does in like all of her books, but she is using so much TikTok Gen Z slang. It was actually irking me so bad. Using it in like regular daily conversation, like, okay, but like, guys, why are we using it in our published novels? Some people don't mind it. I'm not one of those people. I think there needs to be a barrier between me and like TikTok, you know? And it's not just that the characters are mentioning TikTok, it's our main character using phrases like my villain origin story, or God, what was a really annoying one that she used? I don't know. I can't think of it right now. I'll put it up here when I can think about it. I just like, that irks me so bad. And the male main character, I already forgot his name. Is it Jamie? I don't know. The doctor, Maddox. I don't like his whole thing. I just think there could have been a way better portrayal of that if that's the kind of character she wanted to convey. This guy who is super anxious all the time. He could do that with his actions, but instead Abby Jimenez is writing like, I have anxiety, and so I do this and I do this and I do this so that I won't have anxiety. That is exactly how it like reads in my mind. And also because the voice actor is literally saying it like that. Like it could also be that issue too, like the voice actor for the male main character is delivering the lines in the exact same way every time. I can already see myself giving it like a 3. We'll see how that ends up. And I'm already like 55% of the way through because I listened to it at like 1.5 and I was at work for like 6 hours, so got through a large portion of it. I think that's all I have to share for now. I will come back with an update. Hey guys, it has now been several days later. Some would say a week later. I finished Benbecula. It was good. I enjoyed it. Not what I thought it was gonna be. That's okay. I assumed it would be more like cryptid creature type Summerween vibe, but it actually is like a real account based on a true story. And I do the air quotes because like it's fictionalized a little bit, because obviously like the author didn't know exactly what these people would have said to each other and like, you know, exactly what those events were like, but he based it off of a real like true crime account from the 1850s in this Scottish island. And like everything with the brother Angus killing his family, like that's all true, and it's basically just like a fictionalized retelling of that. It's a pretty short, quick read, so like I would still recommend it. Nothing what I just said is a spoiler, by the way, like you learn that like first paragraph. But I didn't realize that it was a true story until the end, because after the actual like story ends, it's all of the court case and like, you know, all the records about what happened, which is pretty interesting. But I think overall I just wanted more from the brother whose point of view it's from, our narrator. I always forget his name. I'll put it here when I edit. Yeah, overall, like, good solid book. I did enjoy myself. Didn't fulfill me, but that's okay because the next book did, and I had every intention to vlog it, but I was also like half listening to it on audiobook because I started it when I was at work, and I work at the library, and so like I just have to do a lot of like menial tasks where I can just like turn my brain off. So that's when I love to listen to my audiobooks. And I remember hearing about it. I feel like Carrie might have talked about it. I don't know. I'm like semi-familiar with V.E. Schwab as well. Not in like a good way. I tried to read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and I did not like it. That was a DNF, but that was also like years ago. So maybe that's just another one of those books that I have to try again. Either way, I heard about Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I loved it. I loved it so much. I loved the beginning especially, and so that's when I bought the actual physical copy because like I said, I was listening to it on audiobook, and I think it is very rare, especially for a fantasy, to hit me the same way on audio, which sounds kind of like reverse. Like, why would somebody actually speaking the words out loud not the same as like me actually reading? It's just like I have to see the words so I can visualize the writing style, you know what I mean? Otherwise it's just like a story being told to me. Totally different experience. But I can tell from the audiobook that I was going to like the book, so I bought a copy of it and I'm so happy. So I tandem read it and it was so so good. Like I said, I didn't know what it was about. I just remember like vaguely hearing about it, and it was available at the library, so I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just download it. Needed something to listen to while I did my work. It's lesbian vampires all getting revenge on one another. The beginning is very like romantic gothic vibe, which is exactly what I wanted. I haven't read Carmilla. I know a lot of people who did and said that it was really underwhelming because they had a different idea of what Carmilla would actually be, and I just know that it would not hit for me because I want Carmilla to be like this. Like, this is what I wanted from Carmilla. Haven't read it, but you know what I mean? You're catching my drift. The beginning of the book is the point of view of Maria, who then turns into Sabine, and we are getting her experience because we need to understand her lived experience so we can understand why she becomes the thing she becomes later in the story. Saying that in the least spoiler way possible. Yeah, I also read through some of the Goodreads reviews, like kind of as I was starting the audiobook, and I was like, why are all these people being haters? Like, I'm not understanding what they're complaining about. I had a really good time reading it, honestly. Anyway, I feel like with the Goodreads reviews, at this point, I think readers, especially readers who like use Goodreads, know not to like fully trust what a Goodreads rating is, but this one is like shockingly low for how good I found it to be. And also, maybe it is just me, maybe it's just my personal taste. I don't know. I found it to be quite enjoyable and I really liked it. It was the exact amount of romance that I like in a book. It was dark at some points, a little bit gruesome, a little bit gory. it was kind of exactly what I needed, because I didn't get that same feeling from Benbecula that I thought that I wanted, that I did know that I want. It was like I needed it to be creepier and more fantastical in a sense, more mythological, and this is what that was. So if you have the opportunity to read this, read it. I mean, like, sapphic vampires. What more could you want? Wish I had taken you along with that reading experience, because it actually made me feel very fulfilled. But now that fulfillment is starting to drain again, because I don't really have anything else that I super want to read. That was good. I just feel like with everything going on in my life right now at this current moment, I don't have the bandwidth to be completely immersed in a whole other fantastical world, or just like in books in general. I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit drained. My Spanish class that I'm taking is kind of a lot. I'm working every day. It's just a lot. But I think I will continue to read Carry Out. I'm just gonna read the summary from the back of the book, because I haven't gone very far, and I think that's just easier than me trying to like explain it and stuttering over my words, because I'm tired. In the late 1970s, Ziad Adilbi, a Palestinian refugee from Lebanon, marries Salma, a Lebanese refugee fleeing the war in Beirut. Determined to begin again one final time, the couple opens a corner store in Toledo, Ohio, across from a General Motors factory, where the city's Arab community meets the working class. Over the decades, facing bigotry before and after 9/11, financial collapse, and terminal illness, the Adilbis find themselves pushed to the margins, struggling to build a life that will endure. Achingly poignant and slightly funny, Carry Out follows the Adilbis and their children as they teeter on the brink of catastrophe. Walid, the youngest, comes of age among the eccentric regulars of his parents' store, navigating first heartbreaks and an emerging desire to become a writer, his gaze turning towards his father and the long legacy of displacement. Mustafa, the eldest, tries to outrun the disasters that pursue him, while Nawal, the only daughter, hatches a plan to reclaim a broken friendship. Unsure whether to run toward one another or away, the characters in this exquisite debut endure the absurdities and indignities of life in America with wry defiance and hard-won wisdom. All things that I love, especially a Middle Eastern Lebanese Levant story. So I'm really liking what I'm reading now. It feels like home. That's why I love reading these stories while I'm here in Berkeley, because it feels like, I mean, obviously if you're gonna be reading something from your culture, written from the perspective of your culture, it's gonna make you feel like you're more at home, but it hits even harder when you're away. Like, I feel like I can see each of these characters in my family, which is something that I really appreciate. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I will continue reading this and hopefully come back unless I forget again. Anyway, bye!